Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're thrilled to see so many of you here. I know that you have many questions about course selection and how do you get your incoming 9th grade student ready for next year. And we are here to make sure that you have all of the information that you need, that you feel prepared, and that you feel confident going into this process. So welcome and thank you again for joining. Your support, I want to mention to all of our parents, your support and partnership is greatly appreciated. I'm joined today by our Assistant Principal of Instruction and Student Support Services, Mrs. Samantha Jung, as well as our Beverly Hills High School Head Comprehensive Counselor, Head Counselor of our entire counseling team, Ms. Christy Bond. And I would like to recognize our board members in attendance and our district leaders who have joined us today. Thank you for being here and supporting. Please be aware, everyone, that this meeting is being recorded so people can come back to review the conversation. We have a lot of valuable information for you today. If they were not able to be here now, we want to make sure they can check back later. If you do not feel comfortable being on camera, please turn off your camera if you don't want to be recorded that way. And at the end of our presentation, there will be an opportunity to ask questions. The other thing to know is that we'll have about 10 minutes at the end. So please hold your questions until then. Know also that we will be addressing many of the frequently asked questions in the presentation itself. No anonymous questions will be taken. If you ask a question during that time at the end, it will be made public. All questions should be general. Please, as student-specific questions will be answered by a Beverly Hills High School counselor. And we'll make sure that you know how to be in touch with people that you need to reach at the conclusion of today's presentation. For the purposes of these kinds of initial consultations, student-specific questions will be answered by the counselor listed in the slide deck that we're going to share with you today. Know that this person may change before the start of next year as we balance our enrollment numbers. But everybody is equipped to answer your questions now and then. Please mute your microphone unless you have been asked to unmute it. We will respect the time allocated to this meeting and finish within an hour. Again, my name is Kim Decatrell, the co-principal of Beverly Hills High School, and I would now like to welcome Mrs. Jung, who will kick off our official presentation. Although, can we share a screen? There might be a couple pieces. There might be a couple pieces I'll want to touch on initially. Okay, so just an overview of the presentation before I hand it over to Mrs. Jung there's an overview of what we'll be sharing. Basically, we're here to talk about incoming 9th grade course selection. We'll give you a step-by-step. I'm sure you're wondering, what do I need to know? What do I need to do? And what are my next steps? So that is what you will leave with after this hour. So we'll start with, what do I need to know? And the first thing I'd like to do on the next slide is just introduce our team. We have Miss Nam. If your last name begins with the letters A through D, as in David, Ms. Nam would be your counselor. Unless we make some of those changes, this is the counselor you will talk with initially to consult with any questions you have after today in preparation for the fall. Ms. Blanco will be taking questions for E through J, Mrs. Hart, K through MOO. Mr. Jackson will be taking students MOP through SH. Mrs. Bond, our head counselor, who's here with us today, SI through Z. And just a mention to our specialty counseling team members here. We have Miss Allie Norman Franks, who directs the Norman Aid Wellness Center, and Ms. Casey Barneson, our college and career counselor, who will be available for you as well. Okay, so at this point, I'm turning it over to our Assistant Principal of Instruction, Mrs. Jung.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad to be here. I wanted to go over a couple of things that happened for our students in regard to their course schedules. Typically, we're looking at 6 classes that are year-long. So we're going to take English, whether it be regular or honors, a math class, usually Algebra A or Algebra 1 to start, or it could even be geometry or geometry honors, depending on how far they've gotten at the middle school. We're looking at science as one of their classes, environmental science or biology, or even biology honors. And then we're looking at a world history class, regular or honors, a PE or sports. Generally, students need 2 years of PE while they're here. And if you take a sport, that can take the place of a PE class. And finally, we have electives or social studies. For example, AP Human Geography could be your elective with a recommendation from your history teacher. So again, this is just typical. Things change and look different for everybody all the time, but this is what we're generally going to be looking at. So here are a couple of sample schedules. We did 4 different ones. Again, these are just samples. It's going to look different for every student. So sample 1, a student might have, looks like no first period, but they're going to have an English 9 class, a geometry class, biology, Spanish 2, art foundation, and football. Okay. And as I go through these different samples, look for what is different from one sample to the next. Okay, sample 2 is right below sample 1. Again, no first period, but we're looking at Algebra A, French, a different language, environmental science, English 9 again, culinary arts intro, and cheer. You'll notice that football and cheer are both 7th period. Okay. Sample 3, we're looking at English 9 honors, geometry honors, biology, Hebrew 1, AP Human Geography, PE, and then robotics intro. Sometimes students who have an honors class may have another honors class, maybe an AP class that's sprinkled in there. And then finally, sample 4, they have PE. They're not taking a sport. They have French 2 honors, biology honors, geometry honors, but they also have concert choir and English 9. Okay. Again, just a few samples that we wanted to share with you. So the academic course selection process, 9th grade academic course selections will be based on the grades that the student earns in 8th grade classes and teacher recommendations. So that's going to be working in combination with each other. And academic course placement explanations will be sent home via Parent Square or through email. All right. And then choosing your electives. This is where there's a little more say from the students in regard to what they are interested in and what they would like to be able to sign up for. And the electives are the courses that the student gets to choose. Of course, the parents have some say sometimes, and you'll be working with your child on that piece. Okay. So Beverly Hills High School is going to fill in the academic-based courses depending on what the BVMS grades were, but the electives are the ones that the students get to choose. So you might ask, well, what do I need to do? How do they sign up for these elective courses and everything else? So step by step, we want students and their families to review the Pathways booklet and the course descriptions together. I'm going to click on the links just to show you what those look like. The Pathway booklets, many of you received if you came to open house, it looks like this. Okay. But we also have it online. Okay. And that's this Pathways to Success book right here.
Can we flip it open and see a page?
Sure.
Because it's nice in the chart how you can see year to year and all of the graduation requirements. If we go one further, the arrow, yeah. one more. You can see very clearly, here we go, what the graduation requirements are, how many credits do I need in each area, etc., and some detailed explanations. So this is a fabulous and beautiful, thank you, Ms. Darkins. This is a fabulous resource.
And it's really great because all of the things that we share, we have the paper version of it, but we also have it online. Okay. And I wanted to share the course descriptions that are online as well. This is going to come up under the Counseling Center. Okay. And here you'll see the course list description and all of the different subjects. If you click on them, it'll give you what is available.
So you have a detailed description as well as what grade students need to be in, what the prerequisites are.
And electives and other electives are what we're going to be looking at in regards to choosing what electives they want to take. Okay. So we are going to be sending you a link to the elective course selection Google form. You'll choose 3 options. You'll rank it by first, second, third preference. Doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get it. The sooner you fill this out, okay, probably it's going to look better for you and give you a better chance. The deadline is February 8th. If for some reason you forget, the student forgets, it doesn't get done, the counselors are going to choose what electives they will take. Can they say, no, I really want to take this other one? Absolutely. However, if they're full by students who turned it in on time, the answer is going to be no. Okay, so we want to make sure it gets turned in on time and that they're ranking first, second, and third preference for what they really would like to take.
So we'll make every effort to give every student their first choice. As things fill up, we'll then move to the second choice, etc., because we do want all of the students to be happy with their course schedule.
Electives are fun. They should be fun. So this is what it's going to look like. Let me click on the form just to give you an overview. Okay. So this is a Google form. You fill out the student's last name, the student's first name, their alphabetical assignment, okay, last name, and then, oh, I have to fill it out. Sorry. Okay, and then here are the choices. Okay. So my first choice is culinary arts. My second choice is psychology. And my third is theater. Right? Okay. And so you'll go through this form and make sure that you are picking the ones that you want. I'm going to turn it over to our head counselor, Ms. Bond.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to be here. And we, again, are glad that all of you are here with us. Thank you, Ms. Decatrell and Mrs. Jung, for that great overview. We know that you most likely have many questions. So what we did was we tried to compile some FAQs of the most frequently asked questions by students and parents. So I'm going to go over these with their answers and give you a little bit more detail on this before we open it up at the end. So the first FAQ that we have is, do students, and in these slides it says do I, because we'll be presenting to students as well. So do I have to take a world language class as a 9th grader, or can I start it in 10th grade? So we do have 9th graders take their world language class. It is part of the typical required course sequence for 9th grade. Most of our incoming 9th graders have already had at least 1 year of their language in middle school. So they'll be placed appropriately in the next level. So yes, 9th graders do need to have that language, world language, as part of their academic courses. And there we go. Second, what classes should students take in the summer? Can they take extra classes outside of school, such as Spanish, in order to get credit? So this is always a big question, and it continues to be a question throughout high school years. But for incoming ninth graders, we really recommend, if you want to take a summer course, take health and personal finance. Those are both graduation requirements. Students will need those to graduate. They are semester-long courses. Summer is a good time to go ahead and take those to get ahead. That way students can free up a period in their schedule at a later date for something else that they need or want to take to help them further their graduation requirements. So that's the suggestion for rising ninth graders, health and personal finance. Later on, yes, students will be able to take extra classes outside of school if they choose, such as a world language or a different course, but they would be working with their counselor to see what best fits their schedule and their goals for graduation and post-secondary.
And there are a limit on those.
Yes, we do have a limit on those. You are limited to 40 total credits outside of the high school that we can give you credit on your high school transcript for. And that's 40 credits total for all 4 years. So once you've utilized those 40 credits, we cannot allow you to take any more than that. So we want to be really selective with those. And that's why we suggest that rising ninth start with health and personal finance, and then students and parents can work with the counselor to see how else they want to utilize those other credits remaining to put on their transcript. Our summer school classes offered on our campus. So most of our approved summer school providers are online, except for our BHEF. And BHEF is a wonderful option. They do offer independent learning virtually, as well as in-person classes. They are going to offer the health and the personal finance this year. I do know that. And the information is going to be on the BHEF website for the Summer Academy very soon. They are hoping to have it up by the second week of February is what I was just told. So you will receive information on that, including the links, how to sign up with them to have your student go ahead and register for those summer classes. This is a big one. How can I join athletic teams? I want to play a sport. Who do I email? Who do I contact? What do I do? We have so many students who love to participate in our sports programs, and we love for them to do that. So almost all of the sports teams do require a tryout. There are a couple who do not require tryouts, such as football. That's the main one in the fall that would not require a tryout. However, every other sport team is going to need the students to try out and make the team. Tryouts are typically sometime toward the end of the summer or right around the very beginning of the school year. The athletic department is currently setting those dates and getting that ready. Students will be able to participate, try out, and you'll be notified if you have made the team by the time school actually starts. Now, if you need that information right now, you can contact Mr. Ellis. His email is there for sports-related questions and to also get that schedule. And it will be publicized. It will be put up. It will be sent out for you so that you know in advance when your student will be able to try out. And that way they'll know if they are starting the school year playing a sport, which will affect their schedule. And we can talk about that as well. Okay, sorry. If a student plays a sport, that does count for PE credit. So if your student is playing a sport, they would not be enrolled in PE. And that also leads me to this FAQ, which is dance. Does dance also count as PE credit? Yes, dance can also count as PE credit. So to graduate from high school, students need 2 years of PE credit, which can be PE, sport, or dance. So once students have 2 years of their PE credit, dance can also count as a VPA. So dance is that class that can give you credit as a PE class or as a VPA class, a visual performing art class, which 1 year is required to graduate if you've already completed your PE requirement. So you could also take PE and dance. Yes, you can do that. You could take PE as your PE requirement and take dance as your visual performing art requirement as well. So dance is a really flexible course that a lot of students enjoy. So here was that question that I mentioned a couple minutes ago. What would the schedule look like if you try out for a sport and you make the team or you make the sport roster? So all of our sports currently are offered during 7th period. So a typical ninth grade schedule, as you heard earlier from Ms. Jung, will have 6 periods. So if a student tries out for a sport and makes the team, the first thing to consider is they would be in a 7th period class, which would mean they would not have a 1st period class. So they would be scheduled for periods 2 through 7. And also keep in mind that students then would not be enrolled in a PE class. They would not be enrolled in PE and sport. Okay, how can I or my child get into honors classes? So honors classes and all academic course selections, as we mentioned, are based on current 8th grade teacher recommendations, and really it's their placement and their performance, their academic performance in their current 8th grade class. So based on their performance there, that is how the students will be placed. So they'll either be placed in the regular or the honors. So what do? We get this question. Well, what do I do then? If I want to be, or I want my student to be in honors English and he or she was not placed in honors English based on their performance data, then there is not an override process. So there is not something that you can just say, I want to change this, override this. There's no override process. However, there is an appeal application that you can fill out that does require data. It is data-based. We need to see data on how the student has performed. Can they be successful? Would they most likely be successful placed in honors? And then that application is reviewed by our administration, who would then make the decision and let you and the student know if it would be possible for them to be placed in honors if they were not originally placed or recommended to be there. Can I make an appointment to meet with a high school counselor to discuss my schedule for next school year? Well, first I want to say we love to see you all and we love to talk to you. So actually it's one of my highlights. I really enjoy talking with 8th graders and their parents and helping them get ready for the transition and to move into high school, because it's a big transition and we do understand that. So high school counselors are available, but will be available for 8th grade student meetings sometime in the beginning of June. The exact dates have not been set yet. We need to close out our school year with graduation, and then those dates will open up in the beginning of June for individual appointments. But we want to go ahead and let you know that, because many times you're planning vacations or planning to be out of town, and you might want to move things around to know when the high school counselors are available. So we will be sending you out more information through Parent Square toward the end of the school year once we have the exact dates finalized. But please know what we're telling you about class placements. Those are still based on your student's current performance in 8th grade. And you're going to get the rest of that information in just a little bit. But we will be happy to meet with you during that time, and we look forward to that. It's an exciting time, and we will be sending that out for you. Oh, that's it. I'm done, I guess. So next steps, with some more important information, I'm going to turn it back over to Mrs. Dextra.
Thank you, Ms. Bond. So now that you know everything you need to know and you're ready to go, right? What are the next steps? Well, most importantly, okay, be absolutely sure, do everything you can to make sure that your student attends at BVMS tomorrow morning, even though it's a late start day. We have some special programming for our current 8th graders to get them ready as incoming 9th graders beginning at 7:45. Okay, so tomorrow, Wednesday, 7:45, our high school counselors will be at BV to make a presentation in the auditorium. But we also have student groups and academic department chairs who will be sort of showing off our programs and answering questions and providing essential information. We also have a lovely breakfast, and we have a surprise gift for students that is a piece of Beverly Hills High School merch. So that will be fun to have. So make sure they're here bright and early, and we will share a lot of the information you received today with them and more. Please take some time to work with your students. So students and families should review the Pathways booklet and the course descriptions together. to fully understand your options, what is required, what your pathway may look like, and know that we can make adjustments and make changes along the way, but it's good to have a sense of the overall context. Review that information together. We will also send you a link to the elective course selection Google form. Remember, your student is only selecting electives at this time. We'll send you a link to the form we showed you today, so that can be filled out by February 8th. And remember, you're choosing the 3 options ranked as first, second, and third preference. So those are your immediate next steps. You may have received, on the next slide, you may have received this infographic about the event. So for 8th grade students, BVMS auditorium, it's really important. If students miss this and we don't get the elective form from them, we will follow up. However, if a family or a student does not respond to our follow-up, as was mentioned previously, we will select courses for the student just based on their graduation requirements, what they need and what's available. So why should you come? You'll learn what electives are, you'll have a chance for breakfast and meeting and greeting, and you'll get some free Beverly Hills High School merch. So look forward to seeing you there, or your students there. This is the parent event right now on the Zoom. Tomorrow is just for students at the BVMS campus. So, right now, we can move into our question section of the presentation and take some of your questions. This time will be moderated by our BHUSD Executive Director of Communications and Strategic Initiatives, Ms. Rebecca Starkins. Thank you for being here with us and helping us facilitate this process. As a reminder, everybody, your question should not be student specific at this time, but more general. And no anonymous questions will be taken. If you ask a question during this time, it will be made public, and for the purposes of our initial consultation, remember you'll have a chance to contact a specific counselor. Okay, so Ms. Starkins, I turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to see you. I'm seeing so many familiar faces in here, and I can't believe your kids are already going into the high school. It's just crazy. Okay, my name is Rebecca Starkins, as Ms. Decatrell just mentioned, and I'm going to help moderate this question time because we're going to do it a little bit how we did it during the pandemic, during COVID. Yes, we're going to go all the way back to those town halls, because something that was really successful during that time was using Zoom to be able to interact with you guys when you're at work or you're busy during the day. And we have this format that works really well. So listen up, because I'm seeing lots of hands raised, and that's not how we're going to do questions. How we're going to do it is you're going to mute your microphone unless I ask you to unmute it. And then what you're going to do is jump into your chat box right now where it says meeting chat and pop your question in there. Okay, it's going to come directly to me. No one else is going to see it. But if you are anonymous, like I'm seeing some come through right now that says Zoom user or me, can you just go ahead and change your name so you're an actual person, so I can check that you're not going to say something that would give us all a heart attack. So make sure you pop your name there so that I can see that it's you. Then what's going to happen is I'm going to call on you to unmute yourself, and you're going to ask the question the way that you feel best represents the way that you want it to be asked. Because I might ask it in a way that doesn't actually represent what you wanted to say, or it might be something that was already covered and you're like, no, they answered my question already. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and ask your question. And then, as Ms. Decatrell said, to be really upfront, we're not going to take any questions that are student specific. That's around privacy, but also to respect everybody's time. The good news is we have about 25 minutes for questions. So we're going to get to everybody. Don't panic. And as our incredible team here has said multiple times already, we're going to give you the contact information and all of the links if you do have student specific questions. If you have a follow-up question, so you say, for example, what time does dance begin on Thursday? And then someone answers your question and you're like, no, that's not what I meant. Pop it back into the chat box and I'll get back to you that way. Don't unmute yourself and say, hold on, that's not what I meant, just so we can keep things moving and be respectful of everybody else. Okie dokie, here we go. Who is coming first? I'm going to scroll all the way back up to the top. How do we get our booklet? We've answered that. Where is the link to the course descriptions? We've got that. Okay. Judy M. She has a question about which electives fulfilling graduation requirements. Judy, go ahead and unmute your microphone and feel free to ask a question, and I will direct it to one of our team members.
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to know, how will we know which electives can cover the graduation requirements or the UC requirements? So how do we know that an elective that we're choosing actually checks off a box, please?
Ms. Bond, do you want to go ahead and answer that, please?
Sure, absolutely. So every elective that the students take does fulfill a requirement. It could be a general elective requirement. Students are required to have 55 general elective credits to graduate. So it's possibly fulfilling a general elective requirement, which is needed for graduation. One of the other questions that I get a lot is which ones will meet the VPA requirement, which is that visual performing art requirement. Students are required to have at least 1 year of a VPA requirement to graduate, and for UCs. So on the chart that you will receive, that is in this PowerPoint, is on one of these slides. We made it hopefully easier for you to see an overview when every class is listed. If you see a class that has double stars beside it, that tells you that it will meet the VPA requirement. So that's an easy way to see that. You'll also see that notated in the drop-down menu when you're in the Google form to select the elective. Any other electives for incoming ninth, that's really going to cover all of the electives. If you're concerned about an elective meeting a GUC requirement, we do have many of those. Students never have a problem meeting those. Most students will meet that requirement by taking an additional math, or an additional science, or an additional social studies, which their counselor will be talking about with them as they progress throughout high school. So there's never a problem with students meeting elective requirements. That all of our electives do meet a graduation requirement. Hopefully.
Thank you so much. And if this is feeling like a different language for some of you, don't worry. They hold your hand through this whole process. I promise. Okay, Mana Kaminti, I apologize if I've butchered your last name, has a question about the number of classes in summer. Monica, please go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Yes, thank you. So my question is, how many classes can students take in the summer? I think you mentioned something about taking classes overall outside of the high school to 40 credits, but I don't understand if that applies to the summer, or, if you could explain, I guess, both things. How many can they take in the summer, and how does that relate to what you said about the 40 credits outside of the high school?
Excellent question. Thank you. Ms. Bond, take it away.
Yes, absolutely. Good question. So students, normally we don't approve for them to take more than 10 credits during a summer, because 10 credits in one summer, remember 10 credits is a full year-long worth course. Semesters are 5 credits each. So 10 credits would be equivalent to a full year-long course, and that is challenging in the summer. So 10 would be the most in the summer. So if a student wanted to take 10 each summer, they could use those 40 credits outside of school that way. We can talk to students, a few students who can handle it that might want to take some of those credits during the school year, but that's a separate conversation and kind of individually based on how the student is performing and what their goals are.
Thank you so much. Okay, our next question comes from Dr. Gill about summer school. Please go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Yeah, the answer was the question was already answered. I appreciate it. We can move on.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, we are back to Judy M. We're talking about personal finance and what else can be taken during summer school, and also sports. So this is 2 questions in one chat, so that might be a little tricky, but go ahead, Judy, please go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hi, thank you. My question was, if a student took personal finance A and B at BVMS, what else can they take during summer school? And then, or is it just that only health and finance is available to the incoming 9th graders? And then my next question was, Are you able to advise us which sports are offered per semester so we can anticipate? Thank you.
So, Ms. Bond, do you want to take the finance question? And then I'm going to read the list of sports off the website.
Sure, finance question. Students at BVMS must participate and complete 2 of the personal finance. So if they did the 2 years or they did the A and the B, then they would meet the personal finance requirement for financial literacy here. Right. Then we would strongly suggest that they go ahead and take the health, because health is a semester only course. And it will really free up their schedule if they can go ahead and take that. And that leaves them a full year of a period open where they can put another course that will benefit them for graduation. So in that instance, I would just recommend that they take health over the summer.
Thank you so much. Okay, here we go. Fall sports: football, volleyball, water polo, cross country, tennis, dance, cheer, and pep squad. Winter sports: cheer, soccer, that's boys and girls, water polo, basketball, boys and girls, and wrestling. Then we have spring baseball, softball, lacrosse, swimming, golf, tennis, track and field, and volleyball. Our next question comes from Alexandra Damska, and it is about summer courses. Alexandra, please go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Thanks. It's a popular topic, I see. Can they only have 40 credits, which I'm assuming means 4 classes. If that's right, it might vary the number of classes, but can they continue to take summer school classes, like audit them if they want to, like if there's something that they'd really like to have that's offered in the summer?
Ms. Bond, go ahead.
Just leave it open to me. I got it.
Fabulous.
Yes, great question. So the 40 credits would pertain to what we can actually give them credit for on their BHHS transcript. So auditing a class is definitely possible, and we could definitely help you find those options and approve that for you to do that, but that wouldn't be a class that we'd be giving the student credit for on their high school transcript. That's kind of the difference between those two.
Thank you so much. Jenny Hope has a question about tryouts and dance. Go ahead, Jenny. Please unmute your microphone.
Oh, okay. So I have a question. Instead of the PE, can they take the dance, and how do they ensure like they have a spot on the dance if a student wants to take dance instead of PE?
Okay. Yes. So dance does give students PE credit, and dance is requiring tryouts. So Ms. Finley is our dance coordinator, and she is working with the 8th grade currently. They're scheduling tryouts. All the students there will know the date and time. So if your student is interested in being in our dance program, they just need to attend the tryout.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Our
Thank you.
next question. Thank you so much. Our next question comes from Katrine Cohen, and it is about school start time. I'm actually going to pivot this to Ms. Decatrell because we have some fun news for our high schoolers that didn't happen in middle school. That's just been introduced over the last couple of years and is being really effective. Ms. Decatrell, you're going to answer this one, but Katrine, please go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Good morning. I wanted to find out what time school starts, if you're having first period or if you're skipping first period and having a 7th period. Just the overall timing, please.
Sure. Generally, school begins at 8:30 now, which is really wonderful because adolescent circadian rhythm is later. So this is really wonderful for students' health and well-being, and it probably helps with families who have multiple drop-offs to do and things like that. So 8:30 is the general start time. Now, if you want to take a period 2 through 7 schedule, because we're on a block, and I'm looking at the exact time right here, and we can share that bell schedule as well. The second class of the day, I should say, starts at 10:21. Okay, so we have our first block is 8:30 to 10:06. And on a Monday, for example, if a student, we meet with our periods 1, 3, and 5, and 7 on a Monday. So that student would not have to report to school until 10:21.
Thank you so much. Our next question comes from Monica Caminti about class placement communication. Ms. Bond, if you can please answer this. Monica, please go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Yes, thank you. Just wondering, when will the class placements be communicated?
As far as their actual schedule?
Their academics, I guess.
Okay, so I believe, and Ms. Secretary, you could jump in as well if I don't have this correct, but I believe their courses will be available to them to see and you to see by the end of the school year. Is that correct? And then their actual schedule, though, which will include teachers and periods, will not be available until after the summer, when we have registration where students can come in and get that information in August before school starts.
Correct. So in April, because teachers are making recommendations very early in the academic year, really only halfway through, we revisit recommendations in April. And we vet those recommendations collaboratively within each department. So there's a lot of communication about students' readiness, capabilities, etc. So we need time to do that. And then we need time to make adjustments before we share that with you. But students will have all of the classes they need, and you'll know that by the end of the year, by the end of the very beginning of June.
Thank you so much. Our next question comes from Iris, and it is about IEPs. Excellent question. Iris, please go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So for the kids that have 504 plans or IEPs, do they go through the same elective process that everyone else needs to go through? Do they still have to pick their electives tomorrow? Or is this something that they meet with their dedicated counselors with to do? Because I'm a little confused about that right now.
I'll jump in on that one. Yes, please. We do need all students to go ahead and choose their electives, whether they have IEPs or 504s. They need to go ahead and do that. And then what we will be doing is going and working with, if a student has an IEP, we'll be working with their dedicated case manager and IEP team to make sure that everything is correct. If at that point in time we need to modify anything or change anything, of course, the parent would be involved, and we can definitely take care of that. But electives, please go ahead and have them choose. And then if we need to adjust, we'll be happy to do that.
Thank you so much. Our next question comes from Sam, and it is about finance, which I'm actually seeing this come in a couple of times. So we are going to revisit this. Sam, please go ahead and unmute your microphone, and Ms. Bond will answer your question. Sam, you still with us? Okay, I'm going to read.
Hi.
Go ahead. Hi,
How are you?
welcome.
So I just wanted to just follow up. So if the kids have taken A and B in middle school, it waives that requirement for high school, correct? Finance.
That is correct. If they've taken both of the classes in middle school,
Perfect.
they are receiving that.
I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Our next question comes from Alex Sancho, and it is about the number of electives for enrollment. Alex, please go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hi, everyone. I was just wondering if a child takes PE, do they have the option of choosing either one elective or two electives and have 6 periods or 7 periods? Is that how it works?
It depends on the academic courses that they're taking. And so you could look back shortly on those examples that we put, the example schedules. So most students take 6 periods. So in that case, they would, with PE, they would only be choosing one actual elective, or they would only receive one elective in their schedule. However, if a student has been recommended to take an additional course like AP Human Geography, that's not a standard course for most students who take 6 periods. If that student wants to take that additional course and have 7 periods, then they can definitely do so. And there's the option on the Google form. You'll see it as you're going through it. It will say, if you were recommended for AP Human Geography, do you want to take this in addition to an elective, or do you only want to take 6 periods? So at that point, you can make a decision, and you have the opportunity to let us know if you want to take the 7 or take 6 periods.
I see.
Thank you so much. Our next question. Oh, okay. Summer school basketball camp, summer school, all the summer school things. Please keep an eye on your email for the next 2 weeks. BHF will be releasing all of their information then. Okay. Our next question comes from Nazila, and it is about credits outside of BHHS. Nazila, please go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hi, I guess it was answered the 40 credits, so it's 10 per year. I just wanted to know if you take the course at like a health course in college, that would be counted in the high school as well?
We do not recommend that. Later on, throughout the years, there might be some courses that a student could take at the college level. However, those have very different curriculum standards, so we have to make sure that they're matched to ours. So it's not a blanket yes on that. And we don't recommend the health being taken through a college because it's not the same curriculum as ours and it doesn't meet the same standards.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent question. Okay, we have a next question from Shelby Weiser, and it is about it's about the order of things. So Shelby, please go ahead and unmute your microphone. Waiting till June, and how do we choose now? Shelby, you with us?
Yes, good morning. So if the kids aren't able to meet with the counselors individually until June, yet they have to pick their electives now, how do they determine if what they're choosing is too heavy a course load for them if they decide to choose something like AP Human Geo or something like that as an elective instead of something that's maybe less academic?
Great question. We will be able in June, when we talk with you and meet with you and answer your questions, we still have the opportunity then to be able to change those course requests. So you're not going to be locked in. And if a student feels like it's overwhelming at that point in June, we'd be happy to adjust that and work with you on that. And also keeping in mind that once we start school, we do have what's called a drop add period, where students can level down if they feel like the course is too difficult for them. They could level down to a regular course if available in the same subject, or if it is something like AP Human, they could drop that if it's overwhelming and we could replace it with another elective that's open, or just allow them to have the 6 periods. So there's a lot of options, and we'll make sure that you have all of those available to you so that your students not starting the school, feeling overwhelmed or feeling like they want to change their mind.
Thank you so much. Our next question comes from, Nikki's school start times. If you go to, we did cover this, but if you go to the high school website, on the right-hand side, there's a panel that says bell schedule. So you'll be able to see what time things start and stop on which days. Mama's question is super specific. Can you reach out to, at the end of this, we'll send out again which counselor you need to reach out to based on your last name for your student. Okay, Marlon has a question about social studies. Marlon Alfonso about social studies. Would you please go ahead and unmute your microphone?
Sure, thank you. I'm going to rephrase a little bit the question because I think it was partially answered before. So if a kid is recommended to take the AP Human Geography and that person also wants to do a sport, is it possible to do an elective? Will be that elective during period 1, assuming that she's not going to do PE while she's taking a sport? Thank you.
It is possible to take an elective, but that student then would have 7 periods. So have 7 classes rather than 6. They do not have PE and sport. It would be one or the other. But then picking up the AP Human and picking up another elective would require that the student have a total of 7 periods.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next question comes from Rosita, and it is about sports tryouts, which I'm actually seeing this a couple of times. So great question, Rosita. Please go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Good morning. I was wondering that in the event that our son doesn't get into the team of his choice, would he just automatically be enrolled in PE, or how does that work?
Yes, great question. So if students are trying out for a sport and they do not make it, they are then put into the PE class. Automatically, the counselors will work on that. We work with the athletic department. We get lists of who should be in sport. And if they're not in a sport, we put them in PE.
Thank you so much. Our next question comes, well, actually, our next question was anonymous, so I can't call on you, but lucky for you, the person after you wrote the exact same question, and she has a name. Garin, please go ahead and unmute your microphone. We have a question about dance and how that counts with credits. Go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hi. First, dance is one of those courses that is both a PE, can apply towards PE and visual performing arts. Can that one course get credits for those two requirements simultaneously?
Wouldn't that be wonderful? But no, we can't give double credits for one course. It has to be one or the other. But if a student wants to be in dance and can be in dance for 4 years, then they could get 2 years towards PE, 1 year towards a VPA, and then the last year would be the regular elective credits for that. For example.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next question was the same. Okay, next question. We're back to personal finance. That's been answered. Oh, here's a new one, which uses GEUC requirements. Alex Sancho, please go ahead and unmute your microphone, and this will be for Miss Bond.
Yes, hi. I just heard that somebody mentioned, I think it was Judy, about GEUC requirements, and I wonder what that is. I've never heard of that. I know about UC requirements, but did someone say something like GEUC or something?
I'm feeling left out. I feel like I just want to say something because I haven't said something in a while.
Please do. I'm sorry, Miss Decatrell.
Maybe you heard A through G requirements. Does that sound familiar?
That might be it. And what's that?
Can you explain what they are and also what UC requirements are? Because I'm seeing that pop up a lot in our chat, please.
Okay, I'm just butting in. Miss Bond, please feel free. But basically, UC is the University of California college system for your university system. And so courses that are considered A through G are accepted as sort of college prep. What's the word? College prep course by the UC system. Ms. Bond, you better jump in because I'm tripping all over my tongue here. But so not all classes are A through G in every school. Our classes at Beverly Hills High School are all considered A through G. So in other words, the UC system would recognize all of them as fulfilling their requirements. There are some exceptions to that, but few. The letters themselves stand for just different departments. So which one is A? Thank you.
History.
And you said earlier that G was the electives, correct? So
Correct.
It's just a labeling system in that way. Does that answer the question?
It does. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stay out of it now.
I'll jump in also and say that on the website, under the counseling center, under school counselors, we have presentations posted under each grade, and we do have the A through G requirements there and how they match up with the graduation requirements.
And I'm going to pop that in a link that's going to come to all of you. So don't panic. It'll all be in the email. Okay, Lucia Mino has a great question about, I had this question for so long when I was learning education. Honor classes versus AP. Lucia, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you, Rebecca. Hi, everyone. Yeah, my question is, okay, what happened between honors and AP? I didn't understand what's the difference between the two of them, when and how kids could choose an AP or how it works. That's my question.
Okay, I don't know if one of my administrators want to jump in regarding the difference between the two, but basically an AP class is a college level class that is taught by the high school teachers. So it's our most rigorous level of courses. So you can have an honors class that is the regular high school class, but accelerated. And then the AP course is actually the college level course. And how students are recommended. I'm sorry, was that the second part of your question? It's going to be based on their current course placement and performance in their 8th grade class. And I believe you're all going to get that information. There's going to be a letter with information that explains to you how they're placed according to the class they're in and the grade that they receive now, what the next course placement would be for their academics.
Thank you so much. Our next question comes from Harim, and it is about beginning advanced coding. This is a little specific, but I'll let it slide. Go ahead and unmute your microphone, Harim.
Yes, thank you. So if a student has taken beginning and advanced coding at BVMS, which class would they take at Beverly? Would it be intro to coding, coding advanced, or AP computer science principals?
So that's really going to depend on the student actually in a placement. They technically could possibly be eligible for the AP course. If they're not ready for that, though, then the advanced course. So I know you're wanting to know, what do I choose on the Google form? We have students choose the advanced level if they've already completed those other levels at the middle school. And then once we start the course placement process, if we see that the student has the skills to move up to AP and wants to do that, we'll let them do that then.
Okay, we had a final question as I'm looking at the time. Elizabeth Najad has a question that I am seeing repeated. I want to reassure you all, if I didn't get to your question today, please reach out to the list of counselors that we're going to send out. It was in the slide deck, which is also going to come out. We will respond to everybody, but we have been overwhelmed by such great participation. I'm almost at the end, but I want to be respectful of our time. So Elizabeth, please go ahead and unmute yourself. It is about sports teams and when we're finding out information on tryouts.
Hi, Rebecca. Thank you. I want to understand with sports, when is exactly the tryouts? I heard a rumor, or maybe it's true, that the actual summer conditioning is considered their tryouts. Is that true? And when do the kids know actually that they're on a team or they didn't make a team? Like, when is the deadline that they'll know that?
I'm going to let Ms. Decatrell jump in on this one. She might have deadlines that I don't know. Yes, you are correct with the summer participation. And then as far as the deadline, the last deadline that the teams have to let us know who made the team, I don't have an exact deadline. The athletic department should have that. I don't know if Ms. Decatrell, if you or Ms. Jung have something at this moment.
I don't have anything yet. So the athletic department creates their tryout schedule and we have the results. Usually some of them go very late, actually, all the way through August. So it depends on the sport, and we will have to connect with the athletic director and get back to you with some more specific information.
Okay.
I have good news. Look who I found. Look who I found, everyone. The director of district athletics.
Hi.
Okay, Mr. Ellis is going to answer. Do tryouts, does the conditioning over the summer count as tryouts? And when do they find out if they made the team?
Usually what we're trying to move toward is tryouts, that the summer conditioning camps become the tryout period. The way we do tryouts right now, it's a couple days before we come back to school for a couple reasons to get teams set for the fall schedules and the fall rosters. The problem with that is a lot of kids are still on vacation and it only gives them a couple days to try out. By using the 4-week summer camp that the model I would like to go to, now there are 4 weeks by which your son or daughter can now show the coach in a less restrictive or a less pressure situation, that they can then show the coach what their skills actually are, what the coach then knows what he has, what potential they have, what he thinks that particular person needs to work on to make the team or be a contributing member of the team. And so the pressure is less, because sometimes you're sick and you have had a bad day, and we all have bad days on the field or on the court. And so that way, over a 4-week, 20-day span, the kid can then show the coach what he actually has in terms of their ability to play. So that's what we're trying to move toward.
When do they get the dates for the tryout?
The tryout, well, like summer camp will go June 6th through June 30th, Monday through Friday. We're putting the schedule together right now with BHHS. So that's how we're moving forward.
And when do they find out if they made the team?
The coach will give the specifics on terms of when they've made the team or not. And so if you're a middle schooler coming into high school.
That's who we have here right now.
Oh, okay. So we're coming into high school. That will be the varsity camp. So those will be our camps that we're running. Those will run mostly in the afternoons for the high school. That'll be the high school coach coaching your son or daughter in their particular sport.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ellis. That brings us to an end. I'm going to allow.
If you have anything, drop me an email and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. Okay, thanks.
I'll put his email in that email
Perfect.
too.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, Ms. Decatrell, can you please round us out?
I'd be happy to. Thank you again for attending, everyone. We had a great turnout. I hope this was helpful. Again, just want to remind, please send students to Beverly Vista tomorrow morning at 7:45 for breakfast and a presentation from our counseling team. And we will be sharing with you shortly which counselor you can contact directly, as well as the link to the course selection form. Please take a moment to sit with your student and look through the Pathways booklet and the course descriptions online to just peruse what their elective options might be. And with that, have a wonderful day.